What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. Today we got a Charlie Kirk video. We're going to watch a clip of him debating some students at UC Berkeley. This was a Turning Point USA event, Charlie Kirk's company. All their links will be, as usual, in the description down below. They do good work. Go give them a follow. Go give them a like. We need more people like this on the side of sanity, the side of facts and logic. Now, let's get into the video.
If cocaine was right here and I took it, is it the person who dropped it there or my fault if I took it?
I think the question of fault is a wrong
My
one.
fault. It's my fault if I take it.
But then
See,
what
I
motivated you to take it?
believe that people are responsible for their own decisions, not society.
Exactly, but black communities have been redlined for centuries. So families and black
Wait, so
men
black people are too stupid to know otherwise not take drugs? Is that your argument? No, that's your argument. No, your argument is that black people are too stupid and like drugs come, they must use them.
Exactly, they've been redlined to communities and then
That's
the
your
drugs are
argument.
being brought into
No,
those communities.
I believe
they're being overexposed to it,
So,
and thus they're more
first of
likely
all,
to take it.
so to your
Same
point-
with white people. You know, so many white people at Berkeley do cocaine too, right?
So your point,
How are
we
they
don't have
different?
enough people in prison, okay? So
They don't have enough?
we under-incarcerate rapists, under-incarcerate sexual
That's what I
offenders.
say.
Average rapist gets 3.5 years in prison. 3.5 years. Rapists should get prison to life and castration. We under-imprison people. We probably over-imprison people for some drug possession crimes. You and I could find agreement on that.
Okay.
Not drug dealing.
Just like Charlie says, right? Accountability matters. Something happens to these kids at these woke universities. They get brainwashed. I mean, just look at the amount of abortions that are being done in America and Canada. Like over 1 million a year in the US. Some of them get 2, 3, or 4 in a lifetime. I mean, you have to have accountability for your actions, right? When we talk about, I'm sorry I'm going on an abortion tangent, but talking about something like abortion, you have so many choices that you can make that won't lead you to that. Choose one of the, 30 or 40 contraceptives that are available for women. Make the guy wear a condom. Make better decisions on who you're going to sleep with, men and women. Both of you. Don't sleep with people that, if you're not going to use protection, that you wouldn't be willing to have a child with in case something happens. You have to be responsible for yourself. But the US, Canada, many parts of Europe, if you make good decisions, you are rewarded for these good decisions. You can change your whole life. If you're born poor, sure, it's going to be harder than somebody born with money, but your actions have consequences, good or bad. You make a bunch of good decisions in your life, you're going to have a bunch of good shit happen to you. You can make a lot of money, you can have generational wealth. You make a bunch of bad decisions for you, you can easily go down the other path. But you have to have accountability, again, good or bad. One point that Charlie brought up that is, I agree with fully, is that, people that commit bad things to women and bad things to children, I can't say the actual word on YouTube, should be castrated and just, like a quick, yeah, society would be much better for it. Let's get back to the video.
Those crimes happen to fall along racial lines. So
No, they don't. No, they don't. So blacks commit more crimes than white people.
has statistics behind both,
So
I'm Hispanic too as well.
Look, blacks commit more crimes than white people. You don't have to say it out loud. It's just the way it works.
No.
Blacks,
So then my question is why?
blacks kill. Why? Because they don't have fathers in the home.
And then
So-
how does that happen? We can't just stop asking why.
Right, exactly. The question. So that's a good question. First of all, it's culture. No one wants to say it.
How does culture arise?
Yeah.
How
We
does it-
can't divorce the laws that we're living in for how we
we
behave.
inserted ourselves, the federal government in the 1960s, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Great Society Act, inserted themselves in the black community primarily, tore down the homes, put up vertical housing units like Caprini Green and others, and then we brought in massive government programs where black women married the government and separated from black men, creating this chasm where we subsidize single motherhood. Black women and women in general America lose money if they get married, and that's not right. So we subsidize single motherhood. 75% of black babies in America do not have a stable father in the home. 75%. Every statistic will show if you bring fathers back in the home, crime goes down,
Where's that statistic?
depression goes
Where's
down.
that statistic?
Fatherhood.org, look it up. It's publicly funded. California's government
is that
funds it.
statistic based on marriage?
It's-
Marriage rates?
Well, it depends on whether there's a stable father in the home, right? So how they tabulate it, I'm not really sure, but you go to fatherhood.org. It's publicly funded by the federal government, by state governments. It's like the most nonpartisan. Yeah, just look it up. Fatherhood.org.
You can't deny the facts on this stuff. There's a disproportion of black people in prison versus any other race in America. It's, the crime. Almost 50% of the crime is committed by black people, which are about 14% of the population. Again, these stats don't lie. And what he's saying about fatherless homes. You look at the stats of children that are dropping out of high school. About 70% of them, and this is not just the black community, all communities. About 70% of them come from fatherless homes. Teen pregnancies. Most of the teen pregnancies that happen, fatherless homes. The rate of incarceration, fatherless homes, much higher. I think it's about 60% of the people that are incarcerated are from fatherless homes. Could be higher, could be 70%. I'd have to look that up. But having a father in the home is so important. Like he was saying, we reward women for leaving the household, for breaking the marriage. If they get bored or annoyed or they're unhappy, well, it's like, okay, well, I can get divorced. You're going to get the house. You might get alimony, depending how much money the guy makes. You're going to get child support. If you have two of these dudes, you might get child support for two of them. And you see these guys, the laws are against men. And look, I believe that men should pay child support. You get a girl pregnant, you shouldn't have a way out. You shouldn't be able to, there should be no laws that say, well, no, I decide to not pay child support. Just like there should be no abortions allowed. Like, maybe in some extreme case. We're talking about most people most of the time here. It shouldn't be allowed. The same way you should have to pay child support, but we shouldn't be rewarding women for leaving the house. You see some men out there in the US, in Canada, living in their cars because they can't afford the child support. They have to pay alimony. They've lost their house. I mean, there's no way that this should happen. Look, if you have a shitty husband, you should be able to get divorced. I'm not saying you should be forced to stay with the man, but in certain cases, it shouldn't be that extreme. You see men out there being victims of paternity fraud, like these women, years later. You see cases all the time on the internet. Judge Judy and all these TV shows, the guy's Maury Povich, you're not the father, but he's been paying child support for 12 years. This kid's like 18 years old now, and nothing happens to the women at all. Men go to jail. And then they come out and they find out that they're not, the father. They'll go to jail for not paying child support and not paying their alimony. The laws in the West, this is why a lot of men are escaping the West, going to other countries and not getting married. The rate of people wanting to get married now is so low because of the laws. And you know what? I understand it. Like, what if you're a man, you've built your whole career, and you have a house, you have some money, and now you're going to meet somebody. And I believe in marriage. Like, I'm a big believer in marriage. I think you should, get married if you meet the right person. But I can understand fully why it would scare some people. You're going to be a man, you're going to marry this waitress out there, and she might be the nicest person in the world. But you start thinking, man, like, I've taken a long time to get to where I'm at right now. Am I willing to lose that? And to a lot of people, the answer is no. And that's unfortunate. But the laws have done that to men in North America. So everything that Charlie says there is correct. And some of these kids, they like to play the victim. Victimhood is the new currency these days. And, if you're a minority group, you can be victimized. But what they don't understand is, like, again, going back to the choices that you make as a person, Chinese Americans are doing the best in America. Then it's Indian America, Indians from India. And then it's white people. So it's not like white privilege is this big thing. But if you make good decisions, like the Chinese, or the Asians, came into North America as the poorest race, the poorest class of people, and they're now the richest class. Why? Because they have the nuclear family on lock. Most Asian families, I live in Asia, I can tell you this, have the mother and father at home. Most of them. Not saying all of them, but most of them. And they believe in that. And they'll have even the grandparents help that. There's a good sense of community. And this helps kids succeed. And the same could be said for the Indian community. Again, the Indians from India. The nuclear family is on lockdown, and academia is really pushed in these communities. Is very important for their children to be successful in schools. That's why they're very highly representative in the STEMs field. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. You hear the women crying about equality of pay. Like, this is why you're not studying these fields. They're highly represented by Asians and Indians. Again, this is another reason why you can't have like this DEI nonsense. What are you going to do? Have a cap on all the Asians that are in the STEM fields? You're going to limit them from going up there because everybody's got to be represented at all levels? It's nonsense. Again, I feel for these kids in university today, these woke universities. They're paying, thousands and thousands of dollars to leave university. Was probably going to be a lesbian dance degree. So anyways, another great video by Charlie Kirk. If you're enjoying these videos. If you like this type of content, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, be respectful. Catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.